to the Workforce Connections podcast, where we discuss workforce development in Southern Nevada. Here's your host.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the WC podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. Welcome, Gourav Pani, President of the U.S. Independents at GoDaddy.
Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
We're glad that you're here, and we're going to talk about all the reasons you're here in Las Vegas this week. But first, tell me, what does that mean to be the president of the U.S. Independents at GoDaddy?
U.S. Independents is one of our business divisions that's responsible for all of our U.S. business, but I specifically focus on what we call microbusinesses. So it's a perfect meld for me to be here, because the audience that my team is responsible for serving and setting up for success is who we are trying to address here at this conference.
Makes total sense. Thank you. So again, as you said, you're here in Las Vegas for a special event to support the micro businesses here, which we'll learn, again, is a very large number when you compare it to the national average. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but we like to start here by getting to know our guest a little better. So please tell us where you were born, where you grew up, where you went to school, where you did your post-secondary skill acquisition, and where you live now.
Thank you. It's been a journey. I was born in India, in New Delhi. I went to high school in Singapore, and then I went to college in Indiana. So I've kind of been all over the map, and now I live in Seattle.
Wow.
So I just kept moving.
Yeah. And how many years with GoDaddy?
I have been with GoDaddy for 4 years.
Okay.
Now. Yeah.
Very good. Now, on your LinkedIn profile, it says champion for entrepreneurs, technologist, and product builder. Again, tell us a little bit about what that means and what is your role like at GoDaddy?
We are relentlessly focused on the success of entrepreneurs, specifically small businesses. And that's where we take the term champion into account. And as far as my training is concerned, my academic training is as a software engineer, and hence an engineer. And one of the teams, the bulk of the teams that I'm actually responsible for, we build products that micro entrepreneurs use. So that is the three steps, which is championing small businesses, being an engineer, and being a product builder.
You know, GoDaddy is one of those names, I think, that early on capitalized on visual marketing, because I will never forget GoDaddy based on the commercials that I saw. You know, really clever commercials. Some of them have Dana Patrick on them. And so, I think that's always, especially with the young generation, I find a great way to put your name out, to not just partner with well-known personalities, but have very clever marketing campaigns. Would you agree?
Well, they have. There's a time and a place to do that when you are creating the brand awareness. We have reinvented ourselves over the last 5 to 6 years, where we see ourselves more as championing small businesses and micro entrepreneurs, and being relentlessly focused on the success of our small business partners. Which is why when you look at most of our advertising, if not all of our advertising, we feature our real customers now and their stories. And I think that has been a compelling path to advertising for us. So it's definitely a departure from the celebrity spokesperson approach. But we love the way we have been able to present our customers to the media.
That's true. So in other words, over the past few years, there's been an evolution and I do now think about those stories too, how impactful they are to hear from the mom and pop that represent the micro enterprise business owners, and hear their very unique story in, downtown USA, Main Street, America, and their story about the small bakery. I agree. That's a very good, powerful message as well. Now, you're here in Las Vegas to be the guest speaker or keynote speaker at our Microbusiness Summit. And we want to, for our listeners, give them a little context again about, in technical terms, what does it mean to me, a micro business? Again, is it the number of employees they have, the size of their budget? And then secondly, why does GoDaddy's Venture Forward initiative look so closely at these micro businesses?
Thank you. That's a great question. And typically what we see is a micro business is a business entity that has 10 or fewer employees. And it's really important to local economies, because a micro business creates up to 7 jobs in the community. And what's interesting about micro businesses is they have 2 steps that they go through. The first step is when they go from making $0 to $100,000. That's really, really hard. And once they get over the 100,000 hurdle, then it's the next jump from 100,000 to 1 million. And then once they get to 1 million, they have to get from 1 million to 10 million. So you think of their evolution in 3 steps. The reason we have Venture Forward looking at this is because we have to look at data across the entire world, the US being the first place where we started, and since then we have gone on and done the same work in the UK, soon to go live in Australia and Canada. But what we find is that the macro story of the country and the micro story of individual communities are really good to do a compare and contrast, so we can learn what makes an individual community different from the macro economy and what specific services or capabilities an individual community can get and benefit from. So that's why Venture Forward is so focused on this data.
This topic is very interesting to me and very, I think, close to, because in my family, my daughter, who's 29 and a doctor in physical therapy, worked her first few years for a clinic, but just a few months ago started her own business. And so she's a small business owner, has just hired her first employee, looking at hiring the second one. So she's going through this process. So I think it's good that Dad learns about this as well. So thank you for being here. Now, one of the things that surprised me about your research is that, there's a very large number, and I don't want to say it because I don't want to be wrong, but there was literally hundreds of thousands of micro businesses here in Las Vegas. Can you share a little bit about your research in our area and, again, why you're here?
Las Vegas is the mecca for micro businesses. There are 335,000 micro businesses in Las Vegas.
Wow.
Just to put it into perspective, there are 28 micro businesses per 100 residents in this area. And that's 3 times the national average. And even more importantly, it's the second largest concentration of micro businesses after New York City. And that's why being here is so important.
Yeah, and so you've mentioned, again, a city that is traditionally, an economy of small businesses, as you said, New York City. But now to think that Las Vegas has 3 times the national average, or 28 per every 100, is amazing. Do you think then, what is the, when I think about our economy of large enterprises like a hotel, they, and I've worked at hotels, so I know that they need to send their laundry somewhere to be done. They sometimes need their bagels and their croissants baked somewhere else and brought in here. They need their plants fumigated by somebody. And so is that why the micro businesses are so important to our region?
It's a network. I think there's interdependency between businesses, and frankly, small businesses prop up other small businesses. Communities are built on the backs of small businesses, and the fact that there's like this network effect where, like you said, a hotel pops up and then there are like 5 things around it, and those 5 things then communicate with another 5 things. The next thing you know is like amplification of the dependencies between businesses. I think that's why the growth in the Las Vegas area not only is large, but it's grown so fast, because as Las Vegas grows, micro businesses around Las Vegas are growing really fast.
Another interesting thing about your research that I know is going to be a big topic tomorrow is how GoDaddy is finding that micro businesses are helping close the gender gap. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, some of the things that we have noticed is in the traditional work environment, there's an inherent disadvantage, not just a gender disadvantage, but also a racial disadvantage, right? So for moms to be able to work when they have children, it becomes very hard because a traditional workforce does not give them the flexibility to work when they have time. When you're a micro business owner, you have that flexibility to pick and choose when you can work. That's a huge, huge advantage that a traditional workforce will not provide. Similarly, access to capital, as the importance of micro businesses is becoming more pronounced, minorities and women are getting access to capital they wouldn't have before in a traditional work environment. So those are the things that are causing the gaps, the disparities to close down.
So I think you've started to tap into the next questions, which means besides those we have mentioned already, what are some of other challenges that you see a micro business face? Because again, as we're talking about, I've seen in my daughter starting a new business, she had to learn about how, not only how do you hire, but how do you have an employee handbook? How do you have, capital to buy equipment, or how do you have insurance for your employees? And so I know there's a lot, but in your research, what are the top challenges that a micro business faces?
Nationwide, and this is also true for the Southern Nevada area, there are 4 major things that have been identified as challenges for micro businesses. The first is marketing. How do you go get more customers? The second is access to capital, because without capital, you can't grow. Third is knowing what to do next. And that includes things like, when do you actually write an employee handbook? When do you get legal help? What are the things that are the next thing that you should consult? And the fourth one, very importantly, is how do you build a compelling online presence? And this online presence is not just about social. It's a mix of social, your personal website, how you use a branded email. All of these things together truly build up your online presence.
Now, for us here in Southern Nevada, again, you're our guest, and you are getting to know some of the folks that work for Workforce Connections, Southern Nevada's local workforce development board. I think you'll see that the people that sit on our boards, in other words, not the staff like Irene and I, but we have people in our community like the presidents of the Chambers of Commerce, or our local regional development agency, or our school district, our community college. The majority of our board members are business owners or CEOs. And so we understand that our role as the workforce system, of course, is to help these micro businesses with talent. We don't necessarily have capital, so we can't provide them access to capital. We can, however, refer them to our partners who do that kind of work. So is there other ways that the workforce development community can help micro businesses, young beginning entrepreneurs, in addition to those ways?
Absolutely. I think the first thing to think about is encouraging people to take a chance. And that starts with trying out tools. We have, within GoDaddy, most of our tools, if not all of them, have free trials. And so there's no risk, capital investment risk or fear of failure. But there's a perception. People have a perception that says, what if I fail? What if something goes wrong? Well, you just start all over again because it's free. You can delete the things that you've built and build from scratch again. And those are things that have to be done in a show and tell manner. And having that training, but like just a live session where you're looking at the tool, not only showing how something can be done, but also showing when something doesn't meet your needs or something you feel like it's broken. It's very easy to delete it and start from scratch, or just take a step back and undo that thing. And those are the types of steps that help people get over their fear barrier, and they're willing to try. And I think that is so much more important than capital, because courage, there's no substitute for that. Capital can come, but courage is something that's built within. And I feel like organizations like Workforce Connections can help people build their courage and build their confidence.
And especially young ones, I think. I see the young generation that has more of that than us. Like, I think my parents beat fear into me, like to be conservative, to be fiscally, responsible, to be risk adverse. And, but the young generation is much more willing to take chances and fail and build again, I think. So I see that courage. I see it in my own daughter. I was more scared than her, I think, when she wanted to quit a well-paying job with insurance and 401k to go start her own thing. So I definitely agree with what you're saying. How easy is it for a person, again, as easy as I remember in my mind, to go and tap into the free tools and really start to learn about the resources that GoDaddy has? Is it as simple as going to GoDaddy.com? Because that's what I remember.
Just go to GoDaddy.com. In the past, we would have free trials, and we still have those. And very recently, we have built things with artificial intelligence that make it even easier. So for instance, you don't even know what to name your business. You go to a screen, and you just type. You just start having a conversation with the screen and say, I want to start a bakery that specializes in making German chocolate cake in downtown Las Vegas. And I want to do that as a side hustle, and I love my job. And you describe some characteristics about yourself, and it automatically tells you what you can name your business, right? Wow. Based on those signals that it gets, and says, I think this would be a great name for your business. All you do is you say, okay, let me just go ahead and get that name. You get that name, and then just based on the name, the next thing that happens is we say, guess what, Jaime? we have built you a website. We have created you a logo.
Wow.
We have created email templates for you. We have created sample social posts for you. Here's where you can go to form an LLC. All of that happens. You don't have to take it as is. All it does is give you an example. You can edit it. And the beauty of that is typically the challenge people have is a blank slate problem. When you start with a blank screen, you don't know how to start. But if something is written there, it becomes a lot easier for you to edit it. As simple as if you're asked to come up with a color scheme for your business, you might go, I don't know where to start. But if there's a color scheme sitting there, you say, oh, you know what? I don't know if I like that shade of purple. Let me make it a little lighter. It's as simple as that. And all of those tools that I just mentioned, they all come as free trials. So you can try it out. And if you're ready and you're willing to commit to it, you start. And we have monthly payments and annual payments. So depending on what your capital outlay, what you're willing to pay, there are options for you. So I think that is the type of pattern that we built, which really makes things easier for people.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. As an engineer, that's my my training and my making. I always there's a big difference between having a empty white sheet of paper or a system that's halfway designed that you can work on, and so I totally agree with you that as launching a new business, it must feel like a sigh of relief to just put in a little bit of information and all of a sudden say, well, here's a website, here's a logo, here's a name, here's email templates. Must be a sigh of relief to say, well, that's not that bad. I'm making progress. So definitely, I think everybody should go to, if you're a young entrepreneur, should take advantage of the free tools at GoDaddy.com. If we have any young entrepreneurs listening or viewing the podcast, what would be a piece of advice that you would want them to hear? What do you think is the one or two things that would help them on this pathway that they've chosen that not all of us are built for? But if they have that high level of courage, that high level of wanting to, create their own path and create their own product and have the tolerance to deal with what it's like to be an entrepreneur, what would be the advice that they would benefit hearing from you?
I mean, I think we as people tend to always think that we have to start with capital. What I believe is we have to start with time. Because you can always get capital, but you're never going to get extra time back. So respect time, act fast, move fast, fail fast, learn fast. Speed, time, that's very important. And the more you try, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more you increase your odds of success. And that's what every young entrepreneur should be looking to do. Keep trying, keep pushing, and every round that you try, you just get a little bit better. If you get better, 1% better every day, that compounding effect will make you immensely successful before you know it.
That's really great advice. And again, we need to encourage everybody who's interested in a small business ownership and entrepreneurship, go to GoDaddy.com. We're looking forward to this Microbusiness Summit at the City of Las Vegas being a successful one. I think there's going to be, again, hundreds of people attending. We are going to use things like this podcast and others to keep the momentum going over the next few weeks to make sure that we support this ecosystem that you've described of small businesses that is 3 times the national average, that is robust. I think natural partner to the kind of infrastructure we have in Las Vegas, which doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. The room count here, the entertainment options, all the things that are here, when you think deeply enough, have to be supported by a very large, robust, interconnected system of micro businesses, of entrepreneurs. So I'll turn the mic over to you one more time as I thank you again for being here in Southern Nevada and being a keynote speaker at our Microbusiness Summit. What are any final thoughts about what you see the future for micro businesses here in Southern Nevada, or any perhaps petition to local elected officials, which will be present at the summit as well? Anything you want to add about making sure that we are supporting this system here?
I think it's really important that the government and local officials recognize what an amazing opportunity there is to showcase Southern Nevada to the entire country. I think that people need to realize and recognize that there's so much more about this region than the Las Vegas Strip. So much happening here. It has completely changed how you think about this region, and it can be an inspiration for so many parts of our country and lift up so many people who have the opportunity to do more and be more. All they want is a chance. They want to be seen. They want to be encouraged. And I think that encouragement and the willingness to try and fail and learn and then be successful, if we keep promoting that here and then take it nationwide, we change an entire generation for the better.
Well, we're looking forward to that. Again, thank you to you and GoDaddy for being here for the Microbusiness Summit. We look forward to continuing to work with you and GoDaddy on nurturing this ecosystem to achieve the things that you have shared with us today. So thanks again for being here today.
Thank you, Jaime. It's my pleasure.
All right. Well, that's it for another episode of the WC Podcast. We hope to see you at another one soon. Until then, stay safe. Okay, Gourav, thank you for staying over to doing our bonus segment called Against the Wall. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, we have 3 segments. The first one's called Your Favorites. I'm going to give you a category, and you're going to give me your favorite thing in that category. So let's start with an easy one. What's your favorite food?
Sashimi.
Your favorite movie?
Batman Begins.
Favorite book?
Hunt for Red October.
Favorite subject in school, high school?
Computer science.
Favorite subject in college?
Economics.
Your favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Here's a tricky one. Your favorite sports team?
Ohio State Buckeyes.
All right. Our previous governor in Nevada, Governor Brian Sandoval, went to Ohio State.
All right.
He's a Buckeye. Second segment is called Tough Choices. So I'm going to give you 2 choices, and you're going to do your best to pick one. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Vacation or staycation?
City vacation or staycation.
And if you drive to your vacation spot, or to go to your vacation spot, would you rather drive or fly?
Fly.
Once you get there, would you rather stay in a hotel or an Airbnb?
Hotel.
Do you like cooking at home or eating at a restaurant?
Eating at a restaurant.
Would you rather owe money or owe a favor?
Owe money.
Here's another tough one. Justice or grace?
Justice.
Actions or words?
Actions.
Very good. You made it through the second segment. And the last one is called Finish the Sentence. I'm going to give you 90% of the sentence. You're going to finish it for me. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
If Gourav could live anywhere, it would be
Seattle.
The best part about living in Seattle, Washington is
amazing outdoors.
Gourav's favorite thing about his job is
working in service of small businesses.
If Gourav could travel back in time, he would travel to
That's an interesting one. South Africa.
All right. And 3 words that describe Gourav are
driven, logical, loyal.
Very good. Doing the WC podcast here with us today was
amazing.
All right, Gourav. Well, thank you for staying over and doing the bonus segment.
Thank you so much for having me.